co-host. Hi, co-host. How are you? Hey, everyone. How's everyone doing? I hope you all are having a great day and it's staying dry and out of the heat. And also, I hope you all got a chance to check out the We're Not Done Yet podcast that was dropped at 3 o'clock a.m. Michigan time. And on the podcast, they had the wonderful Charlene Tilton, who played Lucy Lulu on Dallas. And that was a fun episode. I saw it drop at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was watching Knots Landing. I didn't sleep last night at all. And I was watching Knots Landing, and I just jumped on over to the podcast and left a comment on the podcast. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to just kind of just in a comment, hype up the video, and then just come back to it later. And before I knew it, I was like I only had like 10 minutes left of the podcast. So I finished it out, and I haven't been to sleep since. So that's been my day. And I will link that episode down below, along with the We're Not Done Yet podcast channel, and also the CG Circle channel, and the No Escaping in the Cul-de-Sac channel, as well as my playlist for the Knotslanding review. As always, please do not forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, turn on the bell notification. And I think that's it. I think we're just gonna jump right on into it. So if you didn't get a chance, go check out their podcast. It's hilarious. I don't think I stopped laughing the whole episode because just Miss Tilton was just a joy to have on the podcast, and Miss Lee was in rare form, and Miss Mills was very graceful as always. So it was a good time. So I do apologize if my voice sounds kind of off or I sound tired. Like I said, I've been up for probably over 24 hours so far. So we'll see how this goes. So we're on season 4, episode 15, and as you can tell by the picture, we are at the wedding episode. Yay! So we open with Mack and Karen going over wedding details, and she's talking about the bride and groom toppers, along with her wedding dress, like what color she's going to wear, if she's going to wear white, off-white, whatever she decides. Mack asked if we have to do all of this right now, and she said yes, if we want to have the details done for the wedding. I guess the wedding was in 2 days. I guess they didn't waste any time. We were just like, get engaged and then get to the wedding episode. Diana comes in and gives him a hard time, and Diana looks over Karen's to-do list and asks about Abby coming to the wedding, and Karen said that she can't invite her. However, Diana is like, well, if it wasn't for her, I would be hooked up to a dialysis machine the rest of my life. And I kind of said it in how Diana said it on that episode. So she was trying to make Karen feel guilty. However, Karen's like, well, no, because that was the matron of honor, and it just wouldn't feel right for Abby to be there. And then Mack asked if it's too late to turn it into a church wedding because this is his first wedding. He's thinking about wanting to have the whole big thing. However, invitations are already out, and Richard thinks that treats his restaurant as a church, so it's like they're getting married in a church anyways. So it's almost the same thing. And then next we see that Gary goes to talk to Kenny again and learns more about what happened with the deal with Jeff Munson. Kenny was in it, and he told Gary that he was in it to make money. However, that Gary was in it to make money. However, Kenny was in it to make records. So basically, he really didn't care about the money at first. He just wanted to get the record company up and going. And Kenny did tell Gary that he thought at first that it was maybe Abby's dream. However, then he thought about it and he was like, well, look at what all Gary did in the past. You know, the whole auto parts with Sid, getting drunk while being with Val and then cheating on Val. And so he just kind of threw everything back in Gary's face about what happened. Val is still working on her manuscript and hides it in a locked drawer. So Val still feels uneasy about moving her manuscript out, and she will have good reason to. And Lily is encouraging Val, and Val tells her the process of how she writes it and how this manuscript is about how when she broke up with Gary. Chip comes in, and then Val leaves to go with Karen to run errands. Everyone, and then Max will see that everyone sees Kenny and Gary arguing, and they are concerned about him, so they all come outside. I think Mack was playing basketball with the boys or something, and they were outside and they all see what's going on, and they were all concerned about it. And then Gary takes off after he sees Val, and Lily makes a comment about Gary and the fact how everyone has seen his true colors. Karen wants to finish everything before Val comes over and asks him about what matchbooks they should give away as wedding gift, wedding goer gifts, I guess you would call it, like favors almost. The boys come down with the wrong. Oh, I took that back. This wasn't the basketball thing. So the boys come down in the tuxedo, tell her with the wrong sizes, and Michael just makes a wisecrack. They ask if they have to wear them and why they have to get dressed anyway. And then Karen says to Mac, "Don't even say it, Mac." So she was even trying to stop Kevin saying something before he said it, I think. That's my opinion. Gary comes home. Oops, hold on. Ah, hold on. I lost my spot. One second, I'm almost there. Okay. So Gary comes home and tells Abby what happened with Kenny, and Gary actually yells at Abby about what's going on. Gary is trying to finally see what Abby is doing to him, or is he? Then Abby tries to make up with him, and then I said, "Wicked, wicked Abby." You know, because she always likes to say wicked, wicked Abby, so I just said it for her. Karen and Val are running errands for the wedding, and dun dun dun, Val sees her the first two chapters of an article about her first two chapters of her manuscript in the gossip magazines with with the stolen chapters. She is so upset and hurt. And then I put, goodness, Chip, why would you do that? Like, that's just wrong. Chip is at Daniel going over things, and Suji surprises him, and he is still lying about the job with the public relations agency. Suji tries to show affection, and Chip rejects it and becomes aggressive again. Goodness, and she finally gets her head about her. She walks away, and Chip is not happy. Lily Mae, Karen, and Val are talking about what happened with the magazine, and then Val said that she was writing this manuscript as a diary, and she never meant for anyone to see it as it is currently in its current state. Mack and the boys come in, and Karen told them to look at the papers and asked if there's anything that can be done. She said that it is stolen material and says that she can sue them. However, Val said that it would just make things worse. Ed and Gary are playing a song for Jeff, and that's when Gary learns the true deal that Abby made with Munson. So he learns that they're no longer partners, but that they just own a percentage of Suji's contract. So basically, I think Gary got thrown under the bus as well as Kenny did. However, Munson is still going to produce the record. Lily Mae calls Chef while Abby and Gary are there, and he tells her to take Val home, and he will be right there. Susan and Laura are working on the wedding cake and talking about the toppers. Susan goes to rehearse, and Richard is surprised to see Laura. And Laura tells her that Susan is there to help with the decorations for the wedding and the rehearsal dinner. Abby comes to talk to Richard, and he tells her about the rehearsal dinner and the wedding and the fact that he's closing the restaurant and just to show her off. But then after what happened, I wonder if he reopened it. I don't know. Jeff sees the paper as Chip comes home, and he is just as surprised as everyone else is. And Jeff is not happy with Chip, so this would like kind of ruin any type of relationship that Chip and Jeff would have as far as a working relationship. And Chip is taking it hard that he's been accused of stealing the chapters, but he does steal them, so basically he's being a lying liar who lies again. Mack and Karen are looking at flowers for the wedding, and the phone is ringing off the hook. First it was Cinder, and then it was Laura. Next, everyone is at Daniels. Everyone at Daniels has a copy of it, and Susan sees it and is not happy about it. Then Gary comes in and sees it, and it turns to an awful situation. Gary thinks that Val did this on purpose, and while he is not mad at Susan, he is yelling at her. And I'm like, dude, she had nothing to do with that. Come on now. Susan knows that Chip has something to do with the chapters getting loose. And then we see Chip talking with his potential boss about the chapters and that they were for his eyes only. So Chip is starting to feel bad about it, but not bad enough to confess. His possible future boss tells him that he could use this to his advantage as to bring Val into the company as a client. And then Gary shows up at Val, he yells at Val, and then Jeff and Gary get into a fight, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Mack, this is where it is. Mack and the boys are playing basketball while Karen is showing Laura and Ginger the dress. Laura and Ginger are arguing like sisters over Susie. Gary shows up at Val's again to yell at her about the chapters. Val tells him that she never meant for that to ever be published. Then a fight breaks out between Gary and Jeff, and Gary leaves upset. Susan and Chip are talking about what happened with Val and Gary, and again, I think he feels somewhat bad, but not bad enough to confess to everyone else. He tells her that he did it for them and the baby, and he says that he will make sure. However, he does not finish the sentence, so even Susan knows that he was doing this for Chip and not for anyone else. Abby is at home reading the article, and she is not happy about it, and she ends up yelling at Gary. She asks if he went to Val first, and he tells her that Val did not lie about it and that someone stole it from her. And why is she question it? Because she stole her first manuscript and sent it off to be published, right? I mean, come on. So why is she not surprised that someone else stole it? So basically, Chip did the exact same thing that she did. Gary tells her that it is all true and that he feels guilty, and the fact that they are hurting others, their friends and family. He wants to sit down with her to talk about what's right, what's truth, what's not true, and be honest with at least each other, because he's starting to realize that Abby is doing things behind his back, and that's spinning in his head. And she is thinking about it. She says that they will set aside the whole day tomorrow and go over everything. And Gary says that he feels like he is coming apart. It is a rehearsal dinner, and others are not there. The boys are fighting. Everyone is fighting. Karen and Mack are getting frustrated, and Mack takes Karen by the hand, and they rush out of the restaurant. LOL. Wonder what is going to happen. They end up in Vegas. This is where the episode is mostly ad-libbed with their time in Vegas because they couldn't send out a whole crew just for 6 actors on scene. So they just kind of ad lib the whole thing. And from what I heard and researched on. Um, and and then I put this in that Kevin and Michelle cannot keep a straight face throughout the whole ordeal. They end up at a little wedding chapel, and there's no one there when they walk in. They ring the bell to get someone to come to help them. The attendant asks which wedding ceremony they want, and they go sit down and start laughing. Mack is wearing a tuxedo with brown shoes. Next, michelelee is burning the eggs, and Chip is talking to her about the article, and that he hopes that Val does not think that he had anything to do with the article. Michelelee enjoyed what Val wrote about Abby. Chip tells her michelelee, so Chip is starting another rumor that Gary is having an affair with Suji, saying that Suji's life has been a mess ever since. Val overhears it, and michelelee says that no, you weren't supposed to hear that. Another couple comes in, so we're back at the wedding chapel. Another couple comes in, and they kind of look like the odd couple, and they talk about how many times they got married and the fact that the male partner gambles. Then the minister comes in from playing golf. Gary wakes up and Abby is getting ready to leave. However, he asks about the fact that they were going to talk, and Abby said that they would sit down and talk when she gets back around 4 o'clock. Gary goes to get oranges and coffee, and then he looks over at the alcohol, and he goes and pours himself a glass of alcohol, and then he goes outside, looks at the boots, and is always thinking about taking that first drink. Jeff comes over to see Val, and she just wants him to hold her, so she doesn't want him to talk to her. She just wants him to hold her. Karen and Mack are getting married, and there's no one to object. So basically, Mack is like, "What's going on? How come you're not moving forward?" And they still cannot keep a straight face. Mack does not even let the guy finish the vows. He just kind of cuts it off and says, "I do." And then we see the very last scene is Gary looking over the booth with the possibility of taking that first drink. So that is the wedding episode. So what do we think? Finally, we're here. We're here finally. Yay. And then they're going to have some rough patches. We all know that. They're going to have some rough patches coming up. But hey, yay, they're married. Trying to see. Okay. So I was just trying to come up with see if there was. Wow. Okay. So, like in this episode, we see the wedding. We also see the trope of yay, right? So then we see the trope of Gary starting to think about drinking. This is kind of like doing these episodes today with Charlene being on the podcast is kind of ironic. I think just a little bit ironic with Gary having his troubles and he and Val fighting. Because I do remember the only episode that she was in on knotslanding, and how she was so almost dead set against Gary and Val being together or living together and without her, and she wanted her mama. So, oh gosh. So they get married, and then we finally see that Gary is starting to open his eyes to Abby. However, the way that he's getting his eyes opened, I don't necessarily agree with, because he's starting to second guess everything, and is almost going back to his old ways. And I can see where he was upset with Val at first, but then the fact that he's trying to tell Abby no, like, they can't sue her because it's all true. Everything that she wrote is all true, and I'm already on season 6, so I'm watching this episode. These I'm watching ahead before I do these recaps, and I'm already on season 6, and we already learned that Gary likes, what his obsessions become. So I think that that's kind of interesting. And then we see that Ginger is so upset with Susie, and Laura is kind of causing a wedge between her and Ginger about Susie. And so it's just all kind of like starting to come. And again, we're not seeing a lot of Richard and Laura. We're not seeing a lot of Ginger and Kenny together. I think their story is starting to wrap up a little bit. We'll see a little bit more of them near the end of season 4, but their storylines are starting to wrap up. And then we see Jeff and Val starting to get a little bit closer in the fact that he would do anything to protect her. So it's almost like, you know, Val has that person that would protect her, but I don't think she ever really loved Jeff. And she loved the idea of Jeff, and she loved the idea of being protected, but I don't think she ever fully really loved Jeff. I think her two great loves on knotslanding with Gary and Ben. I don't necessarily like Ben all that much, but hey, that's just me. We'll get there. um, I'm trying to think. And it does show how like second weddings can be so much more difficult maybe than the first time around, because you get to plan a second wedding, but then you also have the added of the kids, of other people, stress, and then you have Mack, who's never been married before, so he kind of wants a big wedding, but then he doesn't, and then they end up eloping. So I think you had that playing out, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the elopement in the next episode. Let me see if there's some fun scenes I can play from this episode. Oh. Go ahead and turn this down, because I know if I turn on knotslanding, it'll be on the episode I'm actually on. So, alright, so let's go to season 4, episode. Let me pause this. Let's see. Okay. Alright. And again, this is in accordance with YouTube's favorite policy. So let's just play some fun scenes of the wedding. The wedding part from the wedding, okay? This is in accordance with YouTube's favorite policy.
They're cute.
So basically, she's looking at wedding toppers.
They look happy. What a cute little couple. All the brides are blonde. We'll have to get a brunette bride.
Then she's going to look at the dresses, and she talks about which one she wants to wear.
I'll wear off-white.
And of course, classic Karen, she's eating her bagel and cream cheese, it looks like, which she was trying to eat in the last episode that Val told her not to eat when she was debating about Mack, which is kind of funny. I just caught that. Again, this is in accordance with YouTube service policy.
Karen, do we have to do all of this right now?
I thought we wanted to get married.
Yeah, I meant sorting out all this stuff.
This is a cute scene, okay? This is according to future series policy.
Invitations?
Well, we have to decide on what napkins to use, which matchbooks, and flowers. And I've got a list of about 42 things to do before we're done.
Can't I wait a little bit?
No, we cannot. We have to do it today or it won't be back before the wedding.
I never thought marriage would be so...
This is funny. Alright. And again, I'm stopping this so I don't get blocked. And again, this is according to future series policy.
complicated.
Pal, this is only the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, don't mind me, kids. I'm getting used to it by now.
Good.
Did you get everything picked out yet?
No, we've hardly. Where's my list?
Mom,
What
don't
happened
you
to
think
my
we could
list?
invite Abby?
I'm not going to play that because I already talked about why they won't invite Abby. Alright, this is according to future series policy.
Mom might be hooked up to it.
Up to you, mother.
Sorry. All right, already decided on day one.
Alright, this is according to future series policy.
Now I've been thinking.
Uh-oh.
Maybe we should get married in a church instead of a restaurant.
But we've already decided on Daniel.
It's my first marriage. I think we should do it right.
Oh, darling, sweetheart. I want you to be happy, but the invitations are already out.
Well, okay.
So she was like, I would love to do that for you, but the invitations are already out. And who wants to reroute a whole wedding? My brother had to reroute the whole sprinkle for the baby shower, or for the sprinkle over the weekend. I don't know if it was because of his parents, her parents, or if it was because of the smoke from Canada. I'm not sure because I think we're going to be outside. And again, this is according to future series policy.
Everything before.
Finding out what a snake in the grass.
Okay.
And again, this is according to future series policy.
Yeah, be here soon. I want to finish with everything before she gets here.
Yeah, okay.
Mack, come here for a minute.
Talking about the math books. Now, this is common. Again, this is according to future series policy.
What do you think of this style matchbook?
Okay.
Boy, you got good eyes.
What?
Matchbook?
Matchbook.
Yeah, our names can be engraved here at the top.
So he doesn't really want the math books. That's trying to think. Let's just jump all the way to the end. There we go. And again, this is according to future series policy. This is the fun scenes with the ad living. So no one's there, they walk in and they start laughing right away. Again, this is in accordance with future series policy.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
The lady comes in, I'm not going to play all that. Again, this is in accordance with future series policy.
Now, if you'll just have.
Karen, come on.
I know, Mack. Oh, it's just.
This is my first marriage.
It's just this place is so ridiculous. And look at us. I mean,
Hey. You look beautiful.
you should have worn your blue suit, your brown suit.
No. See, you're wearing the dress. We're getting married, and I'm wearing the tuxedo. That's it.
With brown shoes.
I wonder if that was an accident. Or if they just added that in. That's hilarious. Oh, I'm not going to play the... So that's it. So that was just some fun scenes from... Oh, hold on. some fun scenes from that episode. So again, not much there to it, just a couple of scenes, and it was, just mostly the wedding, other than the Gary Val's Abby storyline. So next we go into season 4, episode 16, A Brand New Family. And I had a little bit more scenes to play in this one than that one because I didn't want to get with all the music. I didn't want to get copywritten. I don't want the video to get blacked again. So I'm just going to keep it moving forward. So we open with Abby and Gary are still talking about the article and that everything she wrote, that everything that Val wrote is true and that he did everything Val said he did. And Abby, and he refuses to go see the lawyer, and that he tells Abby that, hey, look, I'm a drunk. I drink alcohol. If I even get one little drink in me, it's over. Mack and Karen return home, and again, I think this is a little bit ad-libbed when they're coming home. The kids are happy for them, and they ask a bunch of questions while Mack is wanting to talk to them and give a little bit of a speech. And tells them that, that they need to help him out, and however, he will always be there for them no matter what. Then Mack and the boys go get the luggage, and then Diana goes over and hugs Karen. Luna asks about Gary and Susie to Chip as Val walks in with another article. Val is going to go see Mack and Karen. Val does not want Chip's help, and Luna says that Jeff will get to the bottom of this mess. Mack is moving his things in while Eric is trying to fix a lamp for Max. Max studying, and Karen says that Mack can do it, so Eric is starting to feel a little pushed aside, but not because of Mack, but because Karen is saying that Mack can do this. So basically, she's thinking that she's trying to alleviate some of Eric's responsibilities now that Mack is there. Val comes over to talk to Karen and Mack. They said that it was getting too crazy with the wedding and everyone was fighting, that they just went to Vegas and stopped at the first wedding chapel they could find. Val was impressed with all the stuff that Mack has at her house. And Karen tells Val that she saw the paper, and then Val tells her what she has overheard about Susie and Gary, and they both start laughing and say, poor Abby. And they laugh. Karen says some things will never change and good riddance. Richard comes home and tells Laura that he will see her at 3:30 for the new chef that they're interviewing, and she says that she's going to the recording studio with Susie. Renee shows up at Karen and Max with a tape, and they welcome her in. A big discussion happens about Max's chair. Diana is going to Susie's first recording session with Abby, and Chip is going to be there. And Renee lets it slip about the supposed affair that is going on, and Karen is not happy about it. Abby is going to the session as well and asks Gary to go to the lawyer with her, and Abby does not. However, Gary tells Abby that she does not need his permission, and then this is where Gary really starts drinking again. Chip is at Susie's, and he is sick, and she is sick to her stomach because of the pregnancy. Abby is at the lawyer, wants to know what she can do, that if she sues, they will have to go, that they will both have to take the stand about what was put in the article. Westmont has come up with a way for them to protect Abby. Gary shows up drunk at Daniel's, and Richard gives him coffee. Richard tells Gary about the note or the loan contract that Abby made him sign. So again, Gary did not know anything about it. And he shows up to the recording session drunk and knows that Abby. Chip is surprised to see Diana there. Susie is jealous. So there's a lot going on at this recording studio. Eric is working on his car, and Matt goes to talk to him. and Eric is not really wanting to talk because he wants to get the car going so that he can go out. And so he's a little bit frustrated, but he's not frustrated at Mack. Susie helps Gary out of the studio, and Abby's embarrassed. She comes out to yell at Susie and Gary. Gary yells at Abby. Mack, Karen, and the boys are making dinner. I'm just making sure that my boss is not going to call me. And Karen asks Eric to give the meat to Mack for him to cut. And Eric is once again hurt. So again, it's not Mack, it's Karen. Susie is upset because everyone is mad at her. And then she tells Laura that she is pregnant. Laura calls the restaurant and tells Richard a little bit about what's going on, but not the full story. And Richard tells her to bring Susie home and pack them dinner. However, so Richard is trying to be okay with the friendship between Susie and Laura, but it's gonna come to a head. Karen and Mack are talking about Eric. Karen tells him that before he was their friend and now he is their stepfather. Mack says that he will stay up to talk to Eric. Karen thinks maybe Mack is trying a little bit too hard and is expecting an instant failure, which I don't think that's the case at all. That's just my opinion. Because he even said that in the beginning, like, I realize that this isn't going to happen in an instant. So for Karen to turn around and say that the next day or that night is something. Again, Richard is trying to be intimate with Laura and she is refusing it, and they end up fighting. Val waits up for Chip and they need to talk, and Chip tells her what happened today at the recording studio with Gary coming in drunk. Val asks Chip if he knows how long Gary has been drinking, and he said, I do not know. Chip goes to comfort her, and she is upset. Gary comes home drunk, and Abby will not help him and leaves him on the steps to sleep. Mack is waiting up for Eric to talk to him, and they talk. However, Eric is saying, well, what are you apologizing for? You did nothing wrong. And so Mack tells Eric that maybe he needs to talk with Karen about what's going on. It's the next morning, and Gary is drinking coffee. Abby comes out to talk to him, and Abby asks him what happened, and Gary tells her that this is what happens when he drinks. When he has one drink, and then he just can't stop, and he goes off the handle. And Abby does not realize that, although Gary says that she's not pushing him, it's in a way she is because of everything that's happening. And all the scheming going on behind the scenes is causing him to feel out of control. And with an addict, when someone is feeling out of control, they're going to find a way to keep themselves in control or in their mind that they are in control. So drinking, using drugs, or whatever is a way for them to stay in control. And he asks Abby why she was hiding things from her. Gary tells Abby that he's not sleeping with Susie, and Abby tells Gary that she knows. Lily Mae is tuning her auto harp and gets a call from Jeff's lawyer, and that is when it is found out that Chip's potential boss released the manuscripts. Val was over at Karen to tell her about Gary being drunk, and she was blaming herself. However, Karen is telling her, no, you can't blame yourself for Gary because you signed the divorce papers and he's on his own now. Karen is talking to Eric, and Gary and Abby are at the lawyer signing paperwork, and Gary leaves to go get drunk again. Karen is talking to Eric about what happened and why they eloped, and that things were getting too hectic, and that was just a spur of the moment kind of thing, and that they just wanted to get crazy and do something that they wouldn't ordinarily do, and the fact that this wasn't a normal wedding. And that it was considered to be an adventure for them. Karen apologizes to Eric for hurting him, and then Karen told him that she needs to think of him like an adult and treat him like one and not a kid. though Renee is waiting for Chip to tell him that she knows what happened, he tries to talk his way out of it, and Chip's true colors are starting to show now to everyone except Diana. So he's still pulling a wool over Diana's eyes. And then Gary shows up to Susie's drunk. And that's the end of that episode. So again, not a lot going on. Well, there is a lot, but there's not a lot. So we see Karen and Matt come home from their wedding, and there's a little bit of an adjustment period with Eric and with the kids and Mac. However, I think it's more or less with Karen and the kids and Mac, and trying to get used to having him around and having him be a part of the kids' lives and just kind of helping him along. Because the kids really love Mac, even Diana. But it's just a simple fact that this is a new change for them all. And I'm really surprised that they did not talk, maybe as known that Michael grew out of his ADHD. However, because it's not showing about how he's handling the fact that, Mac is moving in. No, granted, to him it's a good thing. But, like Mac is moving in and it's a big change for them. They're gonna have like a father figure in the house, but it's not gonna be their father. So I mean, it's a big change for everyone, and I'm surprised that they didn't really address that. And then again, I don't think Kenny and Ginger were not in this episode at all, and mostly everyone was at the recording studio except for Val, Karen, Mack, and Renee, and the boys. So they were all dealing with their own things. Hold on one second. And then we see Val and Karen kind of talking about things after Karen got back, and she's starting to feel comfortable with coming to Karen about now that the wedding is over, and talking with her about things now that maybe things will be settling down between Mac and her, but now things are kind of revving up between Gary, Val, and Abby, and we'll see the culmination of it. But co-host, do you think that Val did love Jeff, or do you think that she just loved the idea of being with someone who would protect her? I think that she just loved the idea of being protected. I don't think she necessarily had love feelings for Jeff. I think it was just a fun experience for her at the time. Because if she was really in love with him, then she would have gone to New York with him when he asked. And not stay around and want to work with Gary on things. Or not work with Gary on things, but kind of like work through her problems with the manuscript and all that. I don't think she really loved Jeff. Because I think that would have been an instant yes for her. I think that her, Karen, and Mac were the first ones to kind of see through Chip. In my opinion. Co-host, are you there? Hold on, let me type this up. And also, like I said, adjusting a big change, another big change for the kids in 2 years, with Sid leaving, and I'm saying leaving, I know that's not really what happened, but he did leave, the actor left, with Sid leaving and then Matt coming in. I think that is a big adjustment for everyone. Oh, okay, good. I know I'm kind of talking fast, but I'm just trying to get through this one because my head is just really starting to hurt really bad right now to where I can't even think. So I'm just kind of like, I'm gonna go ahead and play some scenes. Hold on. So do you think that Val loved Jeff, or do you think she loved being protected? So here's some scenes from this episode, just for funsies. Again, this is according to teacher's failure policy. I'm not gonna go up, go. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna go up 10 seconds. Hold on. Alright. So again, this is according to teacher's failure policy. Here comes the speech. Again, this is according to teacher's failure policy.
I feel a speech coming on.
Your mother never told me she had kids. You know, you've been doing this family bit for all your life. But I've never been a father before. And wouldn't I be foolish if I tried to come in here and replace your dad? He was quite a man. But I want you to know, whenever you have a problem or you just want to talk, I'm here. And of course...
Aw, that's so sweet. See, Mack does have a sensitive side. He can be hard-headed, rough New Yorker, but he does have a sensitive side. And you do see it. Again, this is according to teacher's failure policy.
You know, you've got to help me over some rough spots, too.
Like this one.
Like this one. Well, I'm very proud to be part of this family. Except for this guy. I never liked him when I first met him.
So he's talking about Michael in that scene. Alright, here's another scene. So this is when Val comes in. Again, this is according to teacher's failure policy.
You're all about it, every single detail.
It got too crazy here. Everybody fighting and arguing and all that stuff.
Yeah, so we decided to get married where it was peaceful and quiet, Las Vegas.
Las Vegas?
Right. We drove straight through. Stopped at the first place we could find. It was the Bridal Veil Wedding Chapel. 24 hours, sir.
So again, they're laughing about it because I think in that first episode, I think a lot of that was ad-lib. That's just my opinion. Again, this is according to teacher's failure policy.
I don't believe it.
I'll finish this later.
Oh, Matt, you can wire that, Matt, can't you?
Yeah, no problem.
Honey, you don't have to worry about it.
I gotta go.
Oh,
I gotta get to the old apartment.
Oh.
The movers.
God, I don't know where to look. The movers?
Loud, yeah.
Yeah, this is the fragile stuff. Bye.
So Mack leaves, and then Val and Karen are gonna have a sweet moment. Again, this is according to teacher's failure policy.
Look at all this stuff of his. I don't believe it. Okay, what?
I saw the paper this morning.
So even in Karen's happiness, she's still there. She's still there for her best friend. I think that's super sweet. Again, this is according to teacher's failure policy.
Come on, let's talk about you.
Sorry I wasn't here for you.
Oh, it's okay. I thought it was all going to blow over, and instead it's just gotten worse.
Yeah.
There's more.
Yeah?
Well, here comes the fun one. Here comes the fun part. This is when Karen learns something about her sister-in-law. Again, this is according to teacher's failure policy.
I found out that Gary's been... What? Gary's been seeing... Oh! That singer. CG.
CG?
Yep.
Oh, my.
Abby.
They laugh and then they hug. That was a sweet moment. I'm not going to play the one about Lily Mae because that's kind of redundant. I'm not going to play that. That's kind of redundant too, right there. Alright, and I'm going to play this scene. Again, this is in Constitution Series policy.
I gotta go now, all right? Bye-bye.
No, don't do that. Not now.
So sorry, that was the 10 seconds before the next one. Again, this is in Constitution Series policy.
You know, I don't understand it. Haven't had a problem with Eric before this.
Give it some time.
Karen doesn't know what the issue is yet. Again, this is in Constitution Series policy.
He hasn't said anything to you, has he?
No. Maybe you're trying too hard.
Again, I don't think Charlie was trying to her because she specifically said when they first got home that he's not going to come in and replace their father. And he realizes it's going to be a learning curve for all of them. So again, I don't think Karen realizes what's really going on. Again, this is in Constitution Series policy.
Trying too hard.
Yeah, you know. Expecting an instant family takes time. Things have got to develop naturally. It's different now.
Hold on. Sorry guys, I sent out patient treatments for 3 different doctors, so sometimes if I get a phone call and I don't recognize the number, I kind of pick up just to make sure it's not anyone wanting to know what the balance is or to make a payment. Again, this is in accordance with future savings policy.
Before you were their friend. Now you're the stepfather.
Yeah. I've got to talk to him. He's not home yet. I'll wait up for him. Yeah. Talk to him tonight. Yeah.
Aww. But again, he's not the problem. I'm not going to play the scene with Eric and Mack, because again, that's kind of redundant. Or the scene with Val and Gary, because I kind of talked about it, but I'm going to play this scene, because this is kind of a risk to my life a little bit. Again, this is according to YouTube series policy.
Not our marriage. The wedding was turning into a nightmare. Neither Mack nor I wanted to start our marriage with an unpleasant experience.
I understand that.
I mean, it was just, spur of the moment. We didn't think it through. If we had, of course you would have been included.
Come on, Karen, you just lied to the boy right there, because you're going to tell him something different in about 10 seconds. Again, this is according to YouTube series policy.
Why does that require thinking? I don't have to think when I come to you with good news.
You're right. Look, Eric, maybe we just didn't want you along. Not just you, all of you. Aren't there times when you don't want me around, or when Dad was alive, him around?
Not for something as important as a wedding.
So again, he doesn't know what, he doesn't know. So Eric is still not understanding what the issue is and why they did elope. So again, this is according to future series policy.
Well, this wasn't a regular wedding. I think maybe Mac and I enjoyed misbehaving, running away, doing exactly the opposite of what was expected. It was an adventure. Look, Eric, it is going to be different.
So again, Karen's trying to tell him, trying to reassure him that it's going to be different, but that they'll work through it, they'll learn the new normal, and they'll kind of, work things out and maybe make the adjustments where needed. Again, this is according to future series policy.
Changed after Dad died, and certain things are going to change again. I was counting on you to help me make the transition.
Counting on me to stay out of the way.
If I hurt you, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to hurt you. I'll try to be more aware, okay?
So this is when she realizes that she kind of maybe hurt him about what's going on. However, I don't know why Diana didn't feel this or Michael, but maybe because Eric was the older boy, and he felt like he had to be the man of the house, which is kind of like what my brother had to do. My brother was younger than me. He's 2 years younger than me. I'm the older one, so he felt like he had to be the man of the house and be protective and take care of things that our dad took care of. So I can kind of see that with Eric, and I can kind of see why he's kind of frustrated now. Here comes this guy coming in whom he loves. He loves Mac, but he's coming in and taking over his jobs that he was doing before, so it's kind of shifting again. So, again, this is according to future series policy.
You were a kid for a lot of years. Now you're an adult. I have to learn how to think of you as an adult.
So she's basically saying, like, I had to learn how to think of you as an adult and to not treat him like a kid. So, again, this is according to future series policy.
And treat you as one. It won't be easy. But I promise I'll try.
And soon. I think that's it. Because the next things are Chip and Louie and then Gary at Tuedsay. So, hold on. Oops. Alright. So, yes. I think I'm going to kind of. There's not really a lot to add here. Because, it is a lot when someone new comes into the family. And you can take this not just with, like, a new step-parent, but also, like, if you're fostering. And, I only bring that up because Miss Tilton actually talked about that today on the podcast, which I didn't know that Miss Tilton was in foster care for some of her life. And so, therefore, even when you bring in foster children into the family, or they get adopted or something like that, things are always changing, and families are always changing and growing and evolving, and I think that's what, the Pulse on America at that time was showing, is that, there are times when, people who end up getting married and then have kids, they don't, for whatever reason, they're not always staying together, and their families start to look a little bit different. And so, therefore, and that, what if Mac had kids? Well, wasn't had kids that he knew about, because he didn't know about pain. But what if he had kids that he knew about? And then, that would have been a whole nother ballgame. and that would have brought in another person into the picture, or possibly two more people, depending on how many kids he had. So so families were always evolving, always changing, and that's why I said with this episode, kind of like reflected my life a little bit because well, my mom never got remarried. My grandfathers, both my grandfathers got remarried shortly after my grandmother passed away. So therefore, and they almost eloped. So, you know, one of them I was okay with, the other one I was not okay with. The one that was in Michigan, I was not okay with him getting remarried. Hello? Hold on. I'm gonna have to go out of this one. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, you hear me? But it's kind of working kind of funky on my end. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Where is my... Alright. Okay. I think you can hear me now. Yay! I'm back. I'm back. Okay. I think I'm back. Okay. So as I was saying, I don't know when I got cut off the last time. With any changes in the family, everything's gonna be up in arms and things are gonna change and all that good stuff. And so yeah. So I think I am gonna end it here because there's not a lot to really recap. We'll talk a little bit more about the next couple of episodes. And then maybe we'll talk about this again. But don't forget, I will have the We're Not Done Yet podcast link down below, along with the episode that they dropped today with Miss Charlene Tilton, which was an awesome episode. And then also the CV Circle channel and the No Escape from the Cul-de-sac channel, as well as my playlist, which this video will be to that playlist, and all you have to do is playlist, and you can just all of them in the background. Or, well, I would say watch them, but really listen because there's nothing to watch. And then yeah, and then don't forget to do the YouTube things, like, share, subscribe, turn on the bell notification. And I will see you guys probably tomorrow as long as I'm feeling okay. Right now I'm not feeling well, so we'll see how I feel tomorrow. Alright, I hope you guys have a great night. Bye!